What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Tyler. We're back for another video in our Pirates of the Caribbean community series, a community series that airs every other Friday on our channel. We talk about Pirates of the Caribbean related topics. We've been talking a lot about this Pirates reboot. We talked about soft reboot, heavy reboot, Pirates without Jack Sparrow. And in this video, we wanted to kind of go off of an idea, and Tyler had talked a lot about this. And it's in his ideas for future Pirates movies last year when Pirates 5 came out, and that's talking about time travel. Should time travel elements be in the next Pirates movie? So we're again going off of it's a reboot. I guess we can just talk in the video if it's a soft or a hard reboot. We can just make that up as we go. But how? So I'm gonna ask Tyler this because he's had this idea, and I think this was very much pushed in Pirates 5 that like, hey, Karina has this link to this kind of stuff. They talked about it a lot. It seems like something where they're hinting, like, we hear you, like, we know that time travel could be an interesting thing, and we may be doing it in future movies, so we want to introduce it here. So, and Tyler, you made a lot of points about that back in the day. So, what do you think? Firstly, do you think time travel should be a thing in the movies? And also, if they are, does that mean Karina is in there, or do you think they could just do time travel a different way? But how do you envision that working?
I think they should do some sort of time travel, whether Henry and Karina are part of it or not. That almost, I mean, you see if Henry and Karina are part of it, I that's what I prefer, because like we talked about before, and actually with my Pirates of the Caribbean 7, I think it was called Pirates of the Caribbean. The Golden Dawn, or Order of the Golden Dawn, is what I called it, and it had to do with them traveling back in time, and they basically made up with a younger version of Sir Francis Drake. So that that was just what I came up with over a year ago, and having them be the ones who travel through time, that allows you to you already know about Henry and Karina, where you don't have to learn about the entire, whoever's in the movie, the whole cast and all these characters. You start off by knowing two, and then when they leave, when they go back to their present, and then if they were to time travel again in another movie or whatever, again we at least have a base, and we know two of the characters, and we remember the experiences that they had, and they'll know different things. They'll learn things from the other movie, from their other travels or whatever. Where if we just had, which I actually want one of these, if we just had a movie where it takes place in the past, and let's just say we have the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie come out, right? And then the movie after that is kind of a departure from it. It's not a sequel, but it's a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. But it takes place in the past, and it has to do with the first Brother in Court. I want a Brother in Court movie, because I think that would be super interesting. But if they did that, it kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that would be the right way to do it. You have to include, you just have to have somebody as like a reference thing. And obviously, you could say, well, like, maybe you could have, like, a young Barbossa. Well, what would he be, 1 year old? So it makes it, and even if it was like, well, you could have Davy Jones before he was Davy Jones, then it's not as interesting. I like Davy Jones when he's Octopus Face. I don't care about when he's a human. I really don't. So, if we were to have a movie that, I mean, technically that is, in a way, time travel, or even if they introduce, let's say, a new character, whole new character, and they've heard of the tales of Jack Sparrow, and they find this device, and they travel through time. Well, again, we don't know who that character is, so we have to learn about that character as we're learning about all these other characters. And could it work? Yeah, it could work, but I just think that knowing that Karina is a, what was it called? She's a horologist, but not that kind of horologist. She understands time and all these different things. And then, like I said, about Henry, and he knows about mythology and all that stuff. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. It just makes sense to have those characters that you've established, and that both, it just makes sense. Like, She understands time, he understands mythology, mix those two things together, and they can go back in time because of some mythological artifact that he knows of, and they use it, and with her smarts, she figures out how to use it, and then they do it. I don't know. To me, that just makes more sense. And you can explore so much, and you can actually learn a whole heck of a lot more. You could actually expand the Pirates of the Caribbean universe by going back in time, seeing events that took place, bringing those characters back into the present, and then maybe the next movie, things were going to be going down a similar route or whatever, and they saw what took place in the past. So, they know what the consequence could be or whatever. So then they have to go about and they have to try to figure out how to prevent it from happening again or something like that. I just think that would be a better movie. And I do think we will get a Pirates of the Caribbean movie where we do go back before even the timeline of the Curse of the Black Pearl. They could technically go back to the 1600s or whatever. I don't know. Now, because of time travel, you might be saying, well, does that mean they could ever go to the future? They probably could, but they never will because that would not make any sense. So, I think if they ever did time travel, it would only to go back. And who knows? Maybe you can do a whole thing where they have to go back in time, Henry and Karina. The only way for Henry to save his father is to go all the way back in time to the original brother in court to stop, or even before that, to prevent Davy Jones from ever being given the Flying Dutchman and undergoing that type of thing. Because Calypso changed him in a way. So maybe they have to go back to prevent that from ever happening. But then when they return, everything's different now, right? And that there's your little soft reboot. Everything that took place from Pirates 1 through 5, basically, have been eliminated because Davy Jones never existed. So the deal never was made, and with Jack and the Pearl and all that. So everything's changed, but you can still have those other characters. And then now you are in the present, but maybe now there's a race against the clock, and then they realize that because of what they did, they only have so many hours or so much time left until they themselves are erased. So they have to try to do all this other stuff. You can actually have a lot of fun when you introduce time travel. So I don't know. I think that might even make for an exciting number of movies if they did it like what I just described.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that could be really cool. I think here's the thing: when you introduce time travel and like these ideas, they're all super, super cool. And I think what time travel does for the film, not only is it gives it this kind of a new element that it's never had before, right? We've talked a lot about supernatural elements, and this would give it a different kind of element. But I think it would also just completely transform how the movie is. Like when I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing like if you were to make what Tyler just said into a TV show or a movie, and you saw that happen, I feel like Pirates of the Caribbean is just so much different. Like it just has a different feel to it. It's not the same universe or world that we're used to seeing. And I think that really changes it up. And I think is it risky? Yeah, because it could change it up for the worse, but it also could definitely change it up for the better. But I just feel like that whole thing, going through time and messing with it, I think it would give it just a whole different sense of what it is. In terms of like just how the movie would actually feel. Like it wouldn't feel the same way that 1 through 5 felt. So I really do think time travel, not just as an element, could be super cool, and we could see different time periods, we can see different characters, and we can really mess with timelines and mess with different things that we haven't even seen of. There's a lot of books that have come out that are canon, aren't canon, whatever. We can go explore those things with time travel. You could do whatever you want. But I also think like that completely changes. I think it gives it more like a lighthearted feel to it. I think it makes it more of a fun movie. Not that they're not fun, because when we've talked about a lot, they definitely are fun films, but this just makes it, I think, a different kind of thing. So I think time travel would be very, very beneficial to try, at least to try. I think I don't know. I think if it was centered around time travel, then it would be just a completely different film. I think if time travel is like loosely in it, then it would still maybe feel a little bit like Pirates 1 through 5. So it just depends on how they do it, but I do think it's a no-brainer to introduce this element into the movie and at least try it, because it is a very different element. We don't see it that often, and in terms of Pirates of the Caribbean, we've never seen it before. And it's a really cool, mechanic that you could use in these films. So I would absolutely sign up if you told me that time travel is going to be a main part of the next film, and I think Karina and Henry and all them should be attached to it if that's the case. So let us know in the comments below, guys. What do you think about time travel? Would you like to see it in a future Pirates movie? Let us know. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now, for more of these Pirates videos. They come up every other Friday on our channel at Pirates of the Caribbean Community Series. We appreciate, as always, you guys watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.